On the 10th of April 2022, I started my own console challenge, a journey to beating every PlayStation 2 game. I've been collecting these games for many years, and one day I said to myself, why am I not playing these? They're gathering around, gathering dust. Games are meant to be played, so that's what I'm gonna do. We've already encountered some epic moments. There's been laughs along the way.
Oh no. Ah! It's actually pretty good!
And of course, a few tears. But one thing's for sure, we're gonna beat every PS2 game. It's time to knock out game number 9, Victorious Boxers. So we've already had the movie tie-ins, and we've also had the kids tie-ins, but there's still a genre we haven't dealt with yet. That's right, anime games. And there's a lot of games on the system that are also based on anime franchises, as you can see. Now, Victorious Boxers is actually based on a manga called Hajime no Ippo. Sorry if I got the name wrong, but it started its life in October 1989. And I think this game was a tie-in with the anime, because the Hajime no Ippo anime started in October 3rd, 2000. When I started playing this game, a lot of people didn't realize that Hajime no Ippo actually had a video game tie-in on the PS2. So maybe you didn't too, and a lot of people seem to enjoy this anime while I was streaming it. People were very much like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this had a video game. I think because they used the Victorious Boxers name in both PAL and North America, so that might cause confusion. I love boxing games. I know I'd stressed that I didn't like sport games, but there's something about boxing games that has a really nice adrenaline rush for me. So I was very much excited to see just exactly what this game had in store. So upon booting up the game, we are given a load of different company logos. There's quite a few as well. And then the intro cutscene begins. Like it's an in-game FMV. Tries its best to look as anime as it can. I think it was pretty impressive at its time. And as said before, while we booted this game up, people in my channel and chat were going, wait, this is Hajime no Ippo. It was pretty funny. And yeah, it's just like an intro cutscene. I believe this is very reminiscent of a moment in the anime or manga where like his training arc begins. He catches leaves and whatnot. It's a nice little introduction to Victorious Boxers, this anime tying game. There's a lot of little moments, and it's a nice little hype build-up, I guess you could say, to get the player interested into the video game itself. On the title screen, there is story mode, versus mode, and like other bits like data and options. Obviously, the only main thing we can do is story mode, and that's just what we do. So we boot up that beloved mode and get cracking. There is no difficulty setting in this game as well. One primary difficulty, so that's what we had to be prepared for. Default story mode. That's our goal. And the first thing the game does is a nice little sparring match, aka the tutorial. During this, you get cutscenes before every fight, every chapter basically. Sadly, the only downside I can say of this game is this game has zero voice acting, not even Japanese voice acting. But then again, PS2 games were hit and miss when it came to voice acting. It's a budget that either studio went with or didn't, and alas, this game does not support it. That minor issue underway, you get in-game cutscenes before every event. This one is basically a warm-up introduction of everything about the game. As you can see here, there's a counter system. So when you throw a punch, you deal damage. Now, in this game, if you throw a punch but it doesn't connect, but your other opponent does, it counts as counter damage. It stacks up. So you want to be very cautious about throwing your punches. Throw when someone else is already throwing a punch and you're going to get punished hard. It's a great little concept, I think. And Yeah, as you can see here, we are taught one of our special moves techniques. It's what we should use against this guy. Uppercut should be his weakness to get through, to attack, and not get counterattacked. Now, as the game begins and we actually get into the gameplay, you might notice something. There is no HUD. I didn't turn off HUD, by the way. This is the gameplay experience. I actually really like this. Super immersive, no life bar, no stamina bar, no time bar. You yourself are always making the judgments. You're making sure that you've not took enough damage. You're not swinging too hard. You're not running out of endurance. And the only way you know when the end of a round is nearing is you get a hint, like a little tap tap, last 10-second ring bell sound effect. Or on some stages, there is a tiny little ringside clock you might see, but it'll be out of your angle. I really loved the immersion of this game from day one, minute one. Great experience, and honestly, the gameplay felt really good too. You're probably also wondering though, while there is no HUD or life bar or time progression, how do you know if you are even doing better than your opponent? Well, during every ring, like timeout before the next round, your coach will be telling you your progress. In this situation, he's basically telling us we were taking more punches than him, we're underperforming. And it constantly is a kind of a subtle hint telling the player, do better, or sometimes they go, he's on his last legs, he's about to fall over, so you know, right, I've got to go in for the kill. If you've never played boxing before, it's basically a one-on-one fight based on weight categories, basic ones like lightweight, featherweight, heavyweight, super heavyweight, but the intention is to try and knock out your opponent. Now, when you go for a knockout like this situation, my opponent is downed. He has to get up within the next 10 seconds, otherwise I win. But also in situations, if you can knock down an opponent 3 times in one round, it counts as a technical knockout. So there's always that to consider as well. But in this situation, in my first sparring match, I go for a nice cheeky right hook and completely knock him out, meaning I win through a KO victory. But there are 2 different kinds of victories. Technical knockout, knockout, and there is one other victory as well to be decided on. If both fighters are still standing after all the rounds have been counted for, it comes to a judge's decision. And over the different 3 judges' opinions and how well you performed, it will be decided upon through points who they thought the victor of the overall match was. But going back to our first sparring match, our coach is super proud of our performance, that we are on our way to victory. And as you notice, there is quite some swelling and like face damage in this game. It's a little bit odd. I think he looks stung like a bee, but it's still a fun little addition in the engine. So we still go through Ippo's story mode by now going to the protest, the level up from our sparring match. It's our first real game where we can show the public and audiences just how well we fight. We're introduced to Boss as well as our coach, and we are ready to try our best and make a name of ourselves. We're starting from the bottom and gonna climb our way to the top of the boxing circuit. This is still obviously a kind of test match though, so the training gear is still very much being on show, and you can see that there's not much of an audience at the moment. Very few lone stragglers want to see such a small set of fighters take it out beyond each other. But as you can see, the match starts, and my goodness, do I kick this guy's ass. It only takes like what, about a minute to lay this guy down for good a couple of times. I just love the flow of this game. It's just so good. And that's it. A couple of cheap punches. He was out for the count. I was really already showing a name for myself to prove that I could become the next champion. And I even dashed back to the gym afterwards to see just how much my coach and my boss are about how well we did. And they're happy. We're ready to pass. We've gone through the pro tests, and we are going to actually fight for real now. There's no more training. It's time to truly put ourselves out there. From now on going forward, Ippo's story follows a very set format. We are given a pep talk at the beginning of each match. It's like a cutscene like this, where you get a little breakdown of who you're fighting, and your coach will give you some tips, usually like what his strengths are and probably weaknesses that you should be focusing on. It's a nice little pep talk, and it's a good way to give that player a few hints and maybe a strategy to take on your opponents. And it really does play the same way out for most of this game. But it's nice, and not only that, between each match, before you go into the ring, I never skipped this cutscene that you're seeing now. I just loved it. The sense of, I don't know, I just really got immersed. I felt like I was watching the anime, even though I've never watched the anime before. I enjoyed it. Just the build up, I'm doing it. And look, you walk into this arena. Sure, it's not a big arena. Sure, there's not a lot of people watching now, but we've just started our career. And it felt good, you know? It really felt good. Now, I did mention there's no voice dialogue, except for the announcer. And it's good, you want this. If you get a more sense of a build-up, the tension, the sense of atmosphere.
There's a little bit of voice
It
acting.
might be the only bit of voice dialogue, but it's still something, and it does give that atmospheric boxing scenario we want in a boxing game. So I'm glad they got someone to do something to set the tone for each of these boxing scenarios. With my fighting skills behind me, I do pretty well by, you know, keeping myself on my toes and doing that most important thing, delivering those beautiful KOs as well. It's what we've got to do. It's our purpose in becoming the best boxer there is. And I'm guessing you're wondering, though, obviously the most important thing, what happens when you do eventually lose? Well, it doesn't take long for me to taste the painful blow of defeat as I get absolutely knocked out by my next opponent. And I was worried, thinking, is this an arcade scenario? Do we have to go through the whole story again? So you're sent back to the title screen and we reload story mode, and how's it work? Well, it's a nice little chapter select. It shows you what you've won. We're on ippo's story, and we just continue the story. It's nothing punishing at all about this game. And that's how the game folds out more. We get introductions to our upcoming fighters, a little build up, and we slowly are climbing through the featherweight bouts and combatants to try and become the #1 fighter. And as you go further into the game, we start to increase our ranks of our fighting. At one point, we take on a certain opponent and we unlock our next special ability. As we climb further up the ranks, we're given freedom by our coach to do what we want. Ippo thinks, you know what, I've got the perfect move against this guy, and that's how we unlocked the special move. It's a nice little cool thing, and as you can see here, yeah, we've ranked up a bit more. The stadium's getting improved. We're becoming more, like, approachable, and our appearance is becoming more professional. The sense of progress is great. You start walking into these stadiums where there's loads more fans. The audiences are cheering you on. We really are becoming a professional featherweight boxer the further we go down ippo's story. And that's what I want in a game. I want to feel involved. I want to be the character, or at least feel that atmospheric scenario of being the #1 champ eventually. Now, yeah, it doesn't take us long to get to the championship title bout for ippo. We're only about an hour in, and it seems like we are about to seize that grand title we've been fighting for. This is it. All or nothing. Cards on the table. We have to win this. One last pep talk from our coach. He's a little bit nervous himself. We've made it a long way to get here, but we can do this. We will do this. The stadium is full of the crowds cheering. This was what they've all come here for. The title bout against Date. He looks tall, he looks mean, and he's got one killer beard combo. He looks definitely like someone we've got to be careful of. But hey, I've kicked enough ass already. I'm sure one more fight will be all we need to give ippo his just reward. Let's do this, dude.
Here we go.
This was going to be a 10-round intense fight, so we had to be careful. And this guy is on your toes. He's a champion for a reason. He's dodging. weaves, he ducks, he dives. He's not messing around. He's not taking your blows, but my god, does he want to counter you back. This really is testing all your skills. I mean, this is it. We want to win that goddamn title from his hands, so we have to do our best. And yeah, the game does not hold back on this guy. He really puts it up to 11 for just wanting to show off the true skills of a boxer. And Date really does show it to me. It's a long, drawn-out match, but eventually his stamina does catch up to me. And with one final deadly punch into the kidneys, I was done for. He got me. I've been downed a few times. I lost. I was not going to get up from that. Damn, this was going to be hard. Oh, I don't know what I was going to do. This was definitely going to be a challenge among the rest of them. But something happens. Unlike all the other times we've lost, a cutscene plays out. Our coach gives us another pep talk after our loss. We want to say that we lost, but no. The coach takes the words out of our mouth and replaces it with, was a good lesson. We can learn from our mistakes, and we can do better next time.
No point regretting.
We
Let's win next time.
may have lost this round, but there's always another time
Yes, boss.
for a comeback. Also, for the first time,
Wow,
we get a
there's
rolling
there's a losing
kind
cutscene
of
and a
credits
winning
for
cutscene.
our match during Ippo's adventure. Our stats for every fight we've done and how we won or lost every fight. It's a nice little way of just giving you like a little format of experiencing just if you did knockouts, if you did technical knockouts. It's good. And after that, you get
Oh, wow,
a
that's
credit
actually
roll
credits.
if you want.
Hang on.
By all means,
If that
any
must be the final
percenters can just
part.
say you're done, you've got credits. But the game wants you to continue. If you go back onto the main menu, Ippo's comeback is now available. There is a new story mode for Ippo, and the game wants you to carry on Ippo's adventure and give him the glory. So you best believe I was going to continue Ippo's adventure. But before that, I wanted to try and just take on Date again. I just wanted to see if I could win, and I attempted a few more times. But yeah, this guy does not F around.
Damn.
I took him to the ring a couple of times, and he really goes to show you the reason why he was the featherweight champion. Well done, Date. I bow to you and respect your almighty punching arm, because you did better than I could. Sorry, Ippo. I tried. So if we can't create an alternative timeline, we'll do the next best thing and give Ippo the comeback he deserves. So we boot up the next part of his story. And before we really get into the same format of doing like a pep talk and fights, Ippo really has a moment to think up to himself and really is deep in training. He really wants to come back stronger and better than ever. So he focuses and is training in the gym, and he comes to a realization that there is something we can do that is both a combination of attack and defense. The Dempsey roll.
When did he learn?
Our coach doesn't know how we learned about it,
What's that?
but he confesses. The Dempsey roll. Did you know? How
Called a
did you
Dempsey roll.
know about this move all along? Of course, Ippo just goes, nah. I
Dempsey?
kind of just winged it.
Don't you know?
And he explains that it was something that was used back in the day in the
It's the
1920s.
In the 1920s,
The
world
Dempsey roll
heavyweight was
itself.
dominated by Jack
We've learned it
Dempsey.
now, so hopefully this is our advantage in our next
Now
fights.
for your comeback
Now,
fight.
Ippo's comeback story is
Don't
quite
fear defeat.
fast-paced after, the little
sir.
introduction of the Dempsey roll, and
Good
it
spirit.
pretty much carries me throughout the rest of
Don't
his
have any
storyline.
information
It's
on
such a good
Poncho.
move. You start with taking on a few more opponents, knocking them out, and it doesn't really take long because you then get to the championship bout. And this guy does take a little bit of a time to take on. I get knocked out a few times by him, but the Dempsey roll serves its purpose, and eventually we get our victory. And upon defeating the championship holder of the title, Ippo gets what he's been wanting. Not only the comeback he deserved, but that glorious championship belt. And as it hovers on our stomach, we done it. I'm sure Ippo's lost for words, because he has finally become the champion. And he deserves it, bless him. And he's very, very humble and so happy to finally get it. Now, do you think that's the end of this storyline? No, 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 no. Because once you've got a title, you've got to defend it, right? And that's what really the rest of Ippo's storyline comes down to. We now have to do a series of defender titles to protect our belt from getting taken back from anyone. And for the next handful of fights, I Dempsey roll and technically knock out anyone that dares try to steal that belt away from us. Ippo deserves this belt, and he's gonna keep this belt, damn it. No one's gonna knock my guy down. Let's do this. So after all of that, you'd have thought 4 defender titles is enough to seal victory, but nope. It's decided that there is a 5th, and this is the final defender match to truly keep the title for ourselves. I mean, I guess we could just keep defending, but there has to be an end eventually to Ippo's story. I don't know how loosely this follows the manga and the anime, by the way, guys, so you probably know more than me how far this game goes into Ippo's adventures and story in the franchise, but this game's final Ippo fight is here and now. We will be defending it against one little combatant to seal our victory for the featherweight circuit. And our beloved Dempsey rolls serve us well. We just keep going into him. It really is a bread and butter move I use in this the whole rest of Ippo's adventure. It just is so good though, like the speed of it, and you can just do well. I mean, yeah, it leaves you open and the guy does catch me off guard, but you really could just go hell to level with this move. It usually connects and the AI doesn't know what to do. And just to really rub it in, I decided to do a dirty Lobo in the crotch, and he really doesn't take it well. Oof. Poor guy. But that is it. 5 separate combatants. 5 different title fights. We done it. We faced everyone that wanted to take us on, and we did well. Blood, sweat, tears, and quite a few bruises to the face. But we seeked victory. And as Ippo thanks the crowd, and thanks the viewers, and thanks me, that's it. Ippo gets his glorious finale. This is the end of Ippo's wonderful adventure. And even the coach says, you've done well. You've got your title, you don't need to worry about anything else. But Ippo, he searches and savors for more. This championship belt is not enough. No, not for him. He wants his coach to keep on training him.
Please keep teaching me.
And with his humble attitude, he slowly walks away to do something else another day. Good on you, Ippo. You worked hard and you deserve a little rest. Until next time. Now finally, the true victory scroll for Ippo's comeback starts. Another glorious detailed information of basically our victories, our knockouts, our technical knockouts. We did it. This is like, it's a good feeling, isn't it? I mean, I love it, and also I really like seeing, you know, Ippo just absolutely doing Dempsey roll on this guy as your stats scroll across the screen. Very fun experience indeed. And yeah, I guess that's the end of the game. It was good and quite a good experience. But no, there's still more to do. Yeah, you get credits if you do Ippo's storyline, but there's more characters and more fighters to enjoy and play. All my challenger runners and anyone else, just check out this full experience. It's such a good package. Yeah, there's multiple characters we get to enjoy. So the next character you unlock and get to enjoy is Masaru. Sorry if I butcher any of these Japanese pronunciation, guys. I'm obviously not the most fluent in any language, even English at times, but still, you play as members of Ippo's boxing gym, I believe. This is like another character that is relative to the animes. And this guy and other characters as you play as them all have different benefits, different bonuses, different play styles. Masaru is way more of a heavier weight class, and you definitely feel the strength behind his punches. It's definitely more of a sense of like survivability with both your opponents and yourself. You can't really waste your stamina on punches, and counterattacks can be really risky. But it's a great sense of difference in gameplay. I mean, some people are like, oh, Koos, what's the difference? You're just playing loads and loads of boxing fights. But there's a load of benefits. I'll get into some other things later on. But for the gameplay part, yeah, there's just different ways of feeling like the fights, and I really like it. And the power behind Masaru's punches really is great with the sound design. Like, if you throw some really good counterattacks, you hear the thwomp, and that's it. They're taken out. But what is the difference about this compared to Ippo is there is a bonus scene or fight, really, where you're going to spar against the title character himself. Yeah, you think that this is going to be easy? Oh, no. They want you to take on Ippo in sparring. Oh, this would be a challenge, huh? And it's good. I mean, it's great. Nothing better than taking on the title character himself and trying to better him. Especially after we've just fought as him and got the beloved champion title. This really was going to be a tough fight. And it really is. It goes on for a while, this fight. I'm not lying. Ippo has the stamina of an ox. Even though he might be in a lower weight category, he doesn't care. He sends me down flying, but I just try and send it back. And I mean, that double punch move I do a lot of times, it really is so good, and eventually it follows up, and Ippo gets downed for a third time in one of the rounds to get that sweet technical KO. It's a sweet little bitter moment as well. We stand up, Masaru can't believe he's just defeated Ippo. The sparring went better than he planned, especially the fact that he came out victorious. And poor old Ippo's face really felt the brunt end of that sparring, I'm sure. With some much better confidence from the sparring, Masaru goes into his own championship belt fight to try and get his own delicious leather strap wrapped around him. And as a player, that's just what I do. That double punch is really the bread and butter for this guy as well. I just love delivering it, and it just seems to work most of the time. It does a tremendous amount of damage. It always seems to hit and land. And I just constantly do it to this poor AI, to the point where I really teach him a lesson. And with a few more dances around him, I just go, you know what? It's time to say goodnight to you, dude. And with the final double punch KO, it happens. A triple knockout, that TKO, we won. Bless old Masaru. He's lost for words. He's done just what Ippo's done and achieved a championship title. And with his coaches around him to give him the words of enlightenment and just blessings, he can scream for victory as well. You done it, Masaru. We done it. Well done, dude. That's 2 champions in one night. And with one character beaten, another is able to be played. It's now Tatsuya Kimura as our next fighter. Tatsuya Kimura's playstyle is very different, obviously, as it would be from Ippo and Masura. Now, Tatsuya, he looks like a huge, very, butch guy, but his skill is down to his speed and dexterity. This guy is very, very fast on his feet, and you need to use that to your advantage. Also, this guy does not start with any special techniques, so you need to be on your toes and constantly delivering counter punches and quick flurries. Because of this, his fights do take considerably longer, and this is definitely another difficulty spike for people that need to be prepared. These fights will not be done within 1 round, 2 rounds. Prepare for the long haul with this guy, as be expected. And like my previous comment, this is why I like this game so much. Every playstyle's different, every character's different. Yeah, you're doing mostly just fight after fight, but that's what a multiple playthrough's about. That every character gives us a different playthrough and a different experience. And Tetsuya's no different. He is very much a speedy mofo. But sometimes fights come down to decisions, like I said earlier,
Damn
because of
right.
how long they take. Just like Masura, Tetsuya has a sparring story just before his final match where he needs to obviously focus and he wants the determination to beat his rival. I like these moments, and usually they have either a story behind it or, in this particular reason, Tetsuya is like so focused on the fight that he finally unlocks his special attack. We have more than just a flurry of punches, we have something to deal with our opponent when the time comes. Also, during his sparring playthrough, we are met with a character called Miyata. Fans of the anime and the manga probably know more about this guy than I do. Sadly, this was a little bit of a contextual situation where I was a bit lost on the character, but still I was able to understand some sort of bond or like rivalry maybe between these guys. I guess they're from the same gym, but they very much need each other for training purposes and for their own upcoming fights. Both these friends have something to offer the other one in a sparring match, and it is the best opportunity for both of them to get what they need, some well-earned training. So after a little bit of mental preparation, they both re-meet at the gym and are ready to spar. We can't wait to show off our new flying fish combo and hopefully do successful in this new sparring match. The flying fish combo is pretty good, actually. I mean, apart from these flurry of blows, the flying fish is kind of a quick, like, that uppercut to, like, an underswing, whatever you can see here, this weird arc motion. It does a bit more damage, I think, but at the same time, it really doesn't take out an opponent quickly. This sparring match is quite the sparring endurance match. I spend quite a long time here, and it does take a while, but eventually I do knock out my rival. And it's great. Another victory under our hats, and we're prepared for Tetsuya's final bout. But not before the two have a bit of a bromance and appreciate the opportunity they've both given each other. That's what mattered most. Well, hopefully all that training paid off as we fight our championship combatant, Rio. And before we go in the ring, our coach gives us some hype. We've been doing this for 5 years, and it's time to show that our work has all been for everything. This fight is another quite toughie as well. I mean, Tetsuya's fighting style for me was definitely the more toughest. I got smacked around a lot. But God bless him, he has the stamina of an ox. And he can really take the fight and the blows, get up and keep going. And you do keep going. This is a long match. I'm at this guy for quite a while, and I believe victory wasn't really achieved here till like round 9. But I think a lot of my victories, it took at least half the rounds or above because of how much this guy's dependent more on flurries than it is on one-hit wonders. But eventually, with perseverance, that's just what happens. I keep just going. Look at this. I just go punch after punch after punch. I just don't let him lay anything on me. And that right side of his face, I really just send like blow after blow to it because I've got to win this goddamn championship. And finally, I think I deal with that sweet blow, and that guy ain't moving for anything. The swelling on the side of his face really is going to be felt in the morning because I just let nothing else go on that face of his. We got a knockout victory just to seal that sweet deal. Our coaches are hyping us up. They're really excited. They're really happy for us. And as said, it took 5 years to get to this moment. We shouldn't be crying. We should be celebrating. Let's really let the crowd know this was a deserved one. We are triumphant. We are the champions. He actually gets his own epilogue as well, where he gets to just, talk about
What?
everything that's just happened.
The
More
title
than
match
anything,
was very
it's
strange.
a reflection
With
on
definite
his
spotlights
training.
reminding me
He's
of
discussing
my debut fan.
about how it took him 5 years to get
Oh,
to this
flashback.
point. He reminisces about his first ever entrance into the ring, and now he's here with his victory. It's a nice little wrap up to his story.
This feeling of
And-
excitement is special.
Yeah, like I
That's
said,
why I
it's
can't
a
stop
good
boxing.
experience. Like, yeah, there's no voice
That's
acting.
right.
Yeah, it's just a load
how
of fights, but
Do you feel being the
there's
champion?
enough meat, I believe, for everyone to really just play through the whole thing. And I
What?
really do hope everyone does at least give this
I
game
thought
the
it
full
would be
experience it
But
deserves.
nothing's changed.
Because it's not that long of a game as well, this game. You really
Same
should
gym,
appreciate every
same
ounce you have.
guys.
And I did. And still do.
This belt represents
Sadly, Mamoru really doesn't have anything standing out for his storyline. You fight guys like Atsushi, Takai, Bear, and then you've got like other fighters like Morris West, Brian Hawk, and then you win the championship. What do you mean go back? Oh, you mean the bear? I thought you wouldn't be. I thought you guys wouldn't be interested about that. Yes, Mamoru fights a freaking bear. And yes, this actually happens in the anime, because I had to look this up after experiencing this. So, enjoy the live action fighting compared to the intense anime action while I beat the crap out of a goddamn bear that nearly kills my ass.
There's no way to escape.
あいつらが待ってるんだ。オールの大観衆が俺様を待ってるんだ。こうだ。カウンターで入ったぜ。ダメか。ひどい。そこが弱点か。一か八かだ。倒れろ、倒れろ、倒れろ、倒れろ、倒れろ、倒れろ。
It's Redfall that's gonna ban him. Yeah. I knocked out a fucking bear.
やった。
Yeah, it's goofy as all hell. But god damn it, I love it.
I could kill a
It's so dumb. And it's even better because he's left with a scar for like the rest of the game, and I can imagine the rest of the anime. And your coach doesn't believe one single bit of it. He's like, yeah, sure, yeah, beat up a bear, whatever. Just get in the ring and keep fighting, dude. It's pretty funny, and I guess Mamoru just is like, fair enough, don't believe me, old man, then. I just love it. And he wears the battle scar just on his chest like that. Super awesome. But yeah, one of the iconic moments for his story. Yeah, his playstyle is all about just being the brutalist, heavy-hitting son of a bitch you can be. And if you love just full-on heavyweight fighting, this is the dude. It's such a good feeling. All his campaign is awesome, this one. I loved it so much. And his bouts, there is a sense of such adrenaline and endurance. Even all your fighters are doing just as deadly a punch as you are, and I loved it. One of the favorite characters, not just for bear punching. I know that is true. That was fun, but apart from that, yeah, his campaign was just great. I love this kind of fighting style more than anything in boxing. And yeah, this is the final fight, and the sweet, like constant knockdowns you can do with just a couple of flurries is just too damn good. Mamoru, there's a reason you are the bear killing machine. Thank you, dude. We're nearly done. There is just one more character left. Genji Kamogawa. Now, who is Genji? I didn't know who it was to begin with. I'm sure some people that love the manga and anime already know. But as the scene was unfolding, it's a completely different scenario. We're at a hut, and we are with Ippo and our boss and a mysterious gentleman. And as the conversation continues, I learn that Genji is actually the the coach, and he's here for a particular person, someone at the back. And when we go to the back, we see a shrine. A shrine dedicated to a girl called Yuki.
Her name is Yuki.
And then suddenly Genji starts to reminisce and talk about this person. And how do you reminisce? Well, yeah, the best way to reminisce about anything is, of course, to have a good old flashback. Yep, we're going back in time. A heck of a way back in time as well. We are met with young Genji. Yeah, the game throws you into a new timeline. I think this is just a final great way to finish things off. And it's a cliche kind of love story in a way. Yuki was captured by the Americans. Genji and his platoon have saved her. And now two guys are fighting over the girl. The power of love seems to get in between the bonds of any friends, and these two decide that the only way they can prove their worth for the girl is to have a boxing match. And obviously the winner, I guess, flexes that they're the better man. That's how their logic's working here. So Genji hasn't got a coach, so he's psyching himself up, preparing for the battle, summing everything that his friend has, his weaknesses that he might have against him, and obviously just speaking and thinking about stuff to inform the player of what's coming up. I love the little attention to detail before the fight begins. We've obviously heard a mic being sounded when the commentator talks about us. It's just a guy shouting. I love those little those little things, and I'm glad the developers also paid attention to that. But prepare yourself for what I definitely consider the hardest fight of the game. I was on this for a very long time. This is no joke, this fight. This is the final character. This is the final kind of bout. And oh boy, does the game go full hell to leather. This takes me about an hour nearly to beat, and it really is a test of patience. You can't really do much, and also Genji has no special attacks. This is all about punches. You don't have any special dodges, you don't have any special skills. You just have to be careful, and then I eventually used a strat of ducking under his punches and punching his gut to just do blows, but also not get knocked out by this guy, because this guy has a mean hook. And it goes down to the wire. It really goes on and on and on. Neither of us really put a dent into each other's armors, and it just was such a really tough battle, this, but it felt good at the same time. So the bell rang, and the results came in, and I nearly got a perfect score. One judge clearly just put one mark down. You can't be a perfect boxer sometimes, but we won. And holy crap, was I so happy this happened. There was a sense of rivalry, but at the same time, Genji and Nakata speak it out, talk it out, because they were equals near to the end. But Genji went a bit too hard on his friend, as he's done quite some damage to him, to the point where he pretty much is blown out and fatigued. Still, they catch up after the fight and discuss about things, but Genji realizes that there's been some damage dealt. Also, during this time, the American that seems to have kidnapped the Yuki character turns up, and they want to seek revenge on him. But the only true way to seek revenge is not to do it just out of spite, but to do it legitimately in the ring. That is how they're going to get revenge on the American that kidnapped poor Yuki. Now, truly, the wrap-up and finale of this game gave me some mad Rocky IV vibes. Let's just say Ivan Drago is the American and Genji is Rocky. Their hairstyles are the similar to match, but yeah, basically, Nakota went after the American and has been severely injured. Genji goes to Nakota's bedside where he sees a very injured man, and then he just starts getting some determination. And what happens after determination and before a boxing fight? That's right, we need a goddamn montage, and that's just what happens. Feel the burn, feel the energy. Genji is gonna go. and kick
montage
some
before the
ass.
Ivan Drago fight.
Like I said, such a Rocky 4 vibes with the exact same montage from the film. But who cares? It was great. But I think the iconic part of this, and once again, maybe it was in the manga anime, I didn't look up this scene, maybe it's shown somewhere, but Genji absolutely punches the living crap out of this log that's embedded in the wall. And the guy just says, dude, if you keep doing this, you're just gonna damage your fists. But Genji just doesn't care anymore. He's determined. He's got his eyes set on the rival. He wants to go and show this American who's boss. And then that's all he cares about. The one shot. He really is doing anything he can to make sure that he's prepared for this fight. But also, our rival and villain of the set is also training. Yep. And we learned that while we're training, the American has been cheating in his fight against Nakota. So, what a better way to really truly take this guy on and show him who's boss than to fight him fairly with our training and get this victory we deserve. The match is about to begin, so we need to get recovered and collected to get into the ring. But as his assistant or friend goes looking for him, he's nowhere to be seen, Genji. But then suddenly, he notices something. The log he's been training with has gone missing until it's been embedded in the wall. Genji has been punching this log so much, he's buried it in the tree. And not only that, his sheer determination has unlocked a beautiful ability. The Iron Fists. It's really time to take on this American. So the ring is set, we're in each other's corners, and we learn that the Iron Fist only has 5 uses, I guess because of the damage we've done to our fist so far. So we've got to be precautious when using this new ability. But still, it's time. This is the final fight of the game. And how do we do? Well, I'll let you know that this fight is so much easier than the prior one. I think this guy's problem is he is a very tall person, and his punches really go over you a lot, especially if you duck, which is what I relied on. This guy absolutely gets screwed over, and I just keep punching his guts. Just keep going for it. And I think that's his real weakness, and exploiting that weakness, I just keep going at it. And it comes down to just a way more comfortable fight than the rival fight against our friend. And just for one sweet bitter blow, I go right into his chops after I could do a few more blows on his belly. And we absolutely send him flying.
Come on.
Look at that. And he's down for the count.
That's him out.
There we go.
Take that, America.
Revenge
Take that,
served
America.
cold. GG. GG.
Oh my
As
God,
things
the
wrap
female
up
model in
completely
this
with
game.
Genji's
Just
story,
face though.
he has a little heart-to-heart with
Yuki.
Yuki, who's caused us this trouble to begin with in a way, but at the same time, we've done everything to help her out fully. She basically wants to talk to Genji. He expressed that he's now fallen in love with only boxing, and he has to leave Nakata and Yuki behind. Boxing has really changed Genji's life, for more ways than one as well, actually, as we learn through this cutscene that not only does Genji fall in love with the aspect of boxing, but due to the log punching, he has completely damaged his fists as well. So, with the medicine that they have then, he somehow knows that medicine can't cure him, like he seems to be speaking in the past tense already, but he's damaged his fist, ill-repaired, can't be solved, so he needs to go and train someone to be the successor to his boxing dreams. It's a sweet way of wrapping things up, and I'm definitely sure that this is in the anime somewhere. Who is the person he decides to train to get pass on his abilities, his skills, and techniques? Well, obviously, it all wraps up, and it's all hinted at through, like, thought bubbles and other conversational topics, that Ippo is definitely Genji's
It would
successor.
be nice to fulfill that.
And
These models are
that
so
is
odd
how
and
this
fussy.
game fully wraps up.
Don't talk
It's a
about going
beautiful
outside.
story arc of
Hard
multiple
training is awaiting
characters
you.
and even learning the backstory of Genji.
Yes, boss.
Very enjoyable
Please train me
experience,
hard.
and as a full package, I hope other people play this to this point as well.
Oh
And
my God,
unlike the other
true
times,
credits.
this is the
I
true
think I've done
credit
it.
sequence.
I think I've
We
completed
beat
the
it.
game.
Beaten and completed. This is an incredible game for me. Maybe not to everyone, but I can definitely say I
really enjoyed
adore
Deno. It was a very different
Victorious
boxing game.
Boxers.
Very
I wasn't
challenging
expecting
at the
much
end as
for a
well.
game, but this game has a lot of charm to it. It's got multiple character storylines. The graphics in this game are pretty damn good for a PS2 game, not gonna lie.
I like that.
The-
I like the immersive
Just
mode
everything,
of
the
hard
combat, the
that's what
different
really
fighters, the
enjoyed it
different
more.
aspects. It's a heck of a good
I don't know
time.
what about it.
And there's
It
one
felt
thing I
like
didn't
you
bring
were
up,
there in the ring
but
'cause there's no HUD, so you're like,
I don't see anyone
"Then
talk about this
Will,
game.
you
This
fall down,"
game
kinda.
has such a good soundtrack. It's unbelievable how criminal this soundtrack has. It's got a huge amount of songs on it. I don't know anyone that talks about this game and its music, but holy crap, I'm just going to quickly give you some iconic music clips that I think are just so good in the game. Hear some yourself, and yeah, just please. The music in this game is fan-frickin-tastic. God, I mean, listen, check the soundtrack out for yourself. And even the soundtrack doesn't even have all the music on this game. There's loads more. Besides that, anyway.
Right.
Before I go on more about music,
or failure.
we wanted to take on the Date fight one more time, and
100. Get out.
with my skills, I was able to whitewash him and get a perfect victory on him. The unwinnable fight can be won. I just wanted to get. I really wanted 100% in this game. I don't always get the vibe, but this one, I really wanted to get the full 100%, beat every possible fight. And there actually is
Well done,
a
kid.
cutscene for it. There's a cutscene that explains, like, you know, you become the champion. We cause the time paradox because I'm sure this doesn't actually happen in the anime, I would imagine. I could be wrong, but it seems like this is like an out of the blue,
That was
completely different scenario. Date is very humble about his loss, and also Ippo is very proud to have won.
Stop
The boss
bowing
is
all
very
the
much
time.
like, stop bowing, stop being so like
You are the
weak.
champion.
Now you're the champion. Show the crowd that you mean like their love and affection,
Boss.
and that's it. We achieved
Now
the
show
full
your
victory of
gratitude.
every
The
possible
audience
fight in this game, from beginning to end. It really felt good, and I
Thank you, everybody.
wanted to
I
do this
call the
game
time
proud.
paradox.
Because of my
And
successes
Date,
and
yeah,
all
you
of
know.
that, I unlocked
that's why-
every character in
Now
versus
I'm
mode.
strong.
Yes, there is a versus
The only
mode,
way
and
you
I'm
can
sure
unlock him
you
is
could have
to
had a lot of fun with friends with this. I wasn't too bothered about seeing the characters, except one. We unlocked a frickin' bear. I want to play as a bear, so I did. And with the game loaded up, it was only fair. Bear versus the strongest person in the game, and that's how we go. So you swing your claws around a little bit, and this bear is broken as all hell. I'm telling you. It controls like a tank, but get a slap with the claw, and they go down. They go down. You basically kill the poor boxer, whoever decides to get in the ring with the bear. They don't get up after that hit. Well done, Bear. Thank you for truly signing off this game with a good old bear slap.
Oh my
Woohoo-wee! I can't help it. This was such a fun game.
Is there a
And
bear
that's where I
fight?
stopped the timers. We did everything. Unlocked every character, unlocked every venue, did every scenario.
I have to say,
I
yeah,
was
we
very
were
much
timing it.
happy
We've done everything
with
and
calling
a bear
Victorious
fight.
Boxers
So yeah,
a
let's
complete
call
beat.
that
Just
done.
under 8 hours. GG's.
Really enjoyed this game, man.
But before we wrap things up, I have to give this a reward. This is getting one of the hidden gems for my challenge. Victorious Boxers, you were a great experience. You graphically were amazing. Your music was awesome. The gameplay was fun. It was enjoyable. There was a good difficulty curve. There was a decent length and multiple different characters and multiple different play styles. This to me is a beautiful hidden gem. Remember, this is my opinion. Don't get me wrong, not everyone's going to agree with this, but I loved Victorious Boxers. Everything up to the soundtrack is just fantastic. So yeah, it gets one of my first hidden gems of the PS2 Collection Challenge. Time to wrap things up, and first of all, we always do my beloved streamer spotlight, and who's it going to today? I'm giving a lovely shout out to a good friend of mine on Twitch called Retro Hitch. Hey, it rhymes. This dude's awesome. He calls himself the granddad of retro. Honestly, his words, not mine, but he's a lovely, chill dude. Does so much stuff on real hardware. Look at him right now. He's using an arcade board and playing arcade games. And he's full of other surprises. Check him out. He's a lovely, cool dude with great company. And you can learn a lot and see a lot of cool games on his channel. Thanks for being a part of my streaming life, Retro Hitch. And just a thanks as always to the viewers that are you guys. Thank you for being a part of the videos, making comments, and everything else in between. As always, in my description, you can check out my live Twitch streams where we do these Let's Plays online. And of course, I have my Discord. Be free to join it. There's people there. We chat, we share collections, and other goofy stuff in between. But what's most important is you're here right now listening to this clip, and I appreciate your company and time. Thank you all so much for being here as always. So what is game number 10? Well, it does have the Roman numeral for number 10 in it. It was a compilation game. It only came out in North America and Japan. PAL never got this, and it's the Blue Bomber himself. Yep, there he is. Mega Man X and his collection. 6 games of Mega Man, plus some bonuses, and yeah, I'm gonna beat them all. Am I insane? Nah, I'm just a gamer. But yeah, there we go. I hope you're excited. Though I'm collecting all the unique PAL games, I want to get those North American exclusives and the Japanese ones too, and this is our first official North American tile. I can't wait. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but as always guys, thank you so much for being around till the end, and as always, have a lovely morning, day, afternoon, or evening, or night even. Until then, thank you for watching another episode in the PS2 Collection Challenge. See you around.